Give all praises, all glory, and all honor to the Holy One of Israel, whose name alone is Yahweh, by saying hallelujah, praise Yah. Right here, we're seeing three books that are full of lies and deceit. We're seeing the book of Jasher, Jubilees, and the Quran. What these books have in common is they all have the story of when Abraham broke or burned his father's idols. You'll see in these stories they are contrary to one another. Jasher says he broke his father's idols. Jubilee say he burned his father's idols. You see in the book of Quran, it agrees more with the book of Jasher. In the book of Jubilees, his father told Nimrod and Nimrod put him in jail. So we are seeing that there's two different stories because in the book of Jubilees, his father blesses him on the way out. So we're going to see two different things in the book of Jasher and Jubilees. But he also lies to his father in the book of Jasher. But in the book of Jubilees, he gets blessed by his father on his way out the door. I want to read chapter 11, verse 33 of the book of Jubilees. Sorry. I'm going to read the book of Jasher, chapter 11, verse 33. And it says, "And when Abraham saw all these things, his anger was kindled against his father. And he hastened and took a hatchet in his hand and came to the chamber of the gods. And he broke all his father's gods. And when he had done breaking the images, he placed the hatchet in the hand of the great God, which was there before them. And he went out. And Terah, his father, came home, for he had heard at the door the sound of the striking of the hatchet. So Terah came into the house to know what this was about. And Terah, having heard the noise of the hatchet in the room of the images, ran to the room to the images, and he met Abraham going out, or Abram. And Terah entered the room and found all the idols fallen down and broken, and the hatchet in the hand of the largest, which was not broken, and the savory meat which Abraham his son had made was still before them. And when Terah saw this, his anger was greatly kindled, and he hastened and went from the room to Abram. And he found Abram, his son, still sitting in the house. And he said to him, "What is this work thou hast done to my gods?" And Abram answered Terah, his father. He said, "Not so, my lord, for I brought savory meat before them. And when I came nigh to them with the meat that they might eat, they all at once stretched forth their hands to eat before the great one had put forth his hand to eat. And the larger one saw their works that they did before him, and his anger was violently kindled against them. And he went and took the hatchet that was in the house and came to them and broke them all. And behold, the hatchet is yet in his hand, as thou seest." And Terah's anger was kindled against him, his son Abram, when he spoke this. And Terah said to Abram his son in his anger, "What is this tale that thou hast told? Thou speak lies to me." So right here we're seeing Abraham lying to his father, telling his father that the biggest idol is the one that killed the rest of the idols with the hatchet. And his father knew that. So let's see what he did. We're going to expedite this to 49. And it says, "And Abraham hastened and sprung before his father and took the hatchet from his father's largest idol, with which Abraham brake it, and ran away." But now he's running away from his father. And Terah, seeing all that Abraham had done, hastened to go from his house, and he went to the king. And he came before Nimrod and stood before him. And he bowed down to the king. And the king said, "What doest thou want?" And he said, "I beseech thee, my lord, to hear me. Now 50 years back a child was born to me, and thus has he done to my gods, and thus has he spoken. And now therefore, my lord and king, send for him that he may come before thee, and judge him according to the law, that we may be delivered from this evil." So now Abraham's father is getting Nimrod on Abraham. And the king sent 3 men of his servants, and they went and brought Abraham before the king. And Nimrod and all his princes and servants were that day sitting before him. And Terah sat also before them. And the king said to Abraham, "What is this that thou hast done to thy father and to his idols?" And Abraham answered the king in the words that he spake to his father. And he said, "The large God that was with them in the house did to them what thou hast heard." So we see how he even lied to the king. Now, what did they do to Abraham? Chapter 12, verse 1. And when the king heard the words of Abraham, he ordered him to be put into prison. And Abraham 10 days in the prison. So he went 10 days in the prison for doing that to Terah's idols. Terah went, I said called, wow. He went to the king, and Nimrod put him in prison. His father put his own son in prison, is what we're reading in the book of Jasher. And to continue, verse 5, what does it say? And they all answered the king, saying, "The man who reviled the king should be hanged upon a tree. But having done all the things that he said, and having despised our gods, he must therefore be burnt to death. For this is the law in this matter." So right here, it's telling them to burn him. They're going to burn Abraham. And you'll read, this is the same thing that happened in the book of Daniel with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They're saying that Abraham was the first one who got burned and did not get hurt. But let me expedite that to verse 34. And the king said to Abraham, "How is it that thou hast not burnt in fire?" And Abraham said to the king, "The God of heaven and earth, in whom I trust, and who has all in his power, he delivered me from the fire into which thou didst cast me." So right here, it's the story of him breaking his father's idols, going to jail, getting thrown in fire, and getting out. That's what happened in regards to the book of Jasher. But we're going to see the book of Jubilees in the Quran may be a little different. I'm going to read the Quran momentarily. In the book, the Quran, of course, chapter 21 and 59. In Surah chapter 21, verse 59, it talks about this same story. And it says, "And they said, who has done this to our gods? Indeed, he is of the wrongdoers. They said, we heard a young man mention them who is called Abraham. They said, then bring him before the eyes of the people that they may testify. And they said, have you done this to our gods, O Abraham? He said, rather this, the largest of them did it. So ask them if they should be able to speak. So he's saying the same thing it said in the book of Jasher, that it was the largest of the idols that broke it, as you can see here in the Quran. Let's continue. So they returned to themselves and said, indeed, you are the wrongdoers. Then they reversed themselves, saying, ye have already known that those do not speak. He said, then do you worship instead of the deity, that which does not benefit you at all or harm you? To you and to what you worship instead of the deity, then will you not use reason? They said, burn him and support your gods if you are to act. So now they're talking about burning him, as it says in the book of Jasher. Burning. right here. And the deity said, O fire, be coolness and safety upon Abraham. And they intended for him harm, but we made them the greatest losers. So right here, we're saying it's the same as the book of Jasher, but they don't not mention Terah. They talk about bringing him to the people, not his father having a conversation with him. So there's differences in the Quran. But let me show you the stark difference in the book of Jubilees, because not only was Abraham blessed by his father, which is contrary to the book of Jasher, but Abraham burned his father's idols, which is contrary to the book of Jasher. So we read here in the book of Jubilees. In the book of Jubilees, chapter 12, and we're going to start at verse 12. And it says, and in the 16th year of the life of Abraham, that is, in the 4th week, in the 14th year thereof, Abraham rose by night and burned the house of the idols. And he burned all that was in the house, and no man knew it. All right. And they arose in the night and sought to save their gods from the midst of the fire. And Haran hasted to save them, but the fire flamed over him, and he was burnt in the fire, and he died in Ur of Chaldees before Terah his father, and they buried him in the Ur of Chaldees. So you'll see right here in the book of the book of Jubilees, how he burned his father's idols here. And then you'll notice, because this is the book of Jubilees, chapter 12, that he does not mention talking to Terah at all. It goes into a whole spiel that you can see right here, where he does not talk about anybody bringing him anywhere and questioning him on who burnt the idols or nothing like that at all. And in fact, we see right here in verse 27, and it says, and he took the books of his fathers. This is what his father's going to do for him. And these were written in Hebrew, and he transcribed them, and he began from henceforth to study them. And I made known to him that which he could not understand. And he studied them during the 6 rainy months. Now check this out. And it came to pass in the 7th year of the 6th week that he spoke to his father and informed him, and that he would leave Haran to go into the land of Canaan and to see it and return to him. And Terah's father said to him, Go in peace. May the eternal God make a path straight, and the master be with thee and protect thee from all evil, and grant unto thee grace, mercy, and favor before those who see thee. And may none of the children of men have power over thee to harm thee. Go in peace. So right here, we see a totally stark, different account of what happened after Abraham destroyed his father's idols. In the book of Jasher, we read how his father asked him what he did. He lied to him. Then his father went to Nimrod and put Abraham in jail. Yes, Abraham's father put him in jail. Then the people determined he should be put to death by burning him. So they threw him in a fire. And 3 days later, he came out without a scratch. And but in this story, no, it was nothing against his father. His father, in fact, loved him so much, he blessed him on the way out. So we're seeing the stark differences in this lie and deceit. And if you believe in all these lies, the book of Jasher, Jubilees, and the Quran, then you have to ask yourself, one of them have to be a lie. If you believe in both the book of Jasher and Jubilees, when Jasher is saying that he broke his father's idols, but Jubilees is saying he burned his father's idols, Jasher is saying that his father put him in jail and got him killed, but the book of Jubilees is saying his father blessed him. So we have to get an understanding of which one you're going to believe. I don't believe any of them. All of them are lies and deceit. And take the whole story with a grain of salt, because it's not in the Almighty's word. But at least you would have to throw away one of these lies and deceit books, like the Quran, the book of Jubilees, and the book of Jasher. I give all praise and all glory and all honor to the Holy One of Israel by saying hallelujah.